So with me, I have the Keychron K2 wireless mechanical keyboard. The one I have has the Gateron Brown mechanical switches on them. I've had this keyboard for a little over 72 days now, and I just wanted to go over my experience and my impressions of the keyboard during that time. So what initially drew me to this keyboard was a couple of things. The first was the fact that it is a beautiful keyboard in my opinion. The second is that it is a wireless mechanical keyboard, and those are quite rare in the market. They're really expensive usually, and if they're not expensive, there's probably a good chance that they're poor quality. This Keychron K2 kind of stands out because it's both mechanical, wireless, and affordable. A little bit about me. I've been using this DAS Ultimate keyboard with the Cherry MX Blues for about 6 years right now, and they are blank keycaps, as you can see. And I've owned other cheaper keyboards, mostly in the Cherry MX Red flavor for gaming. So I'm approaching this review more as a software developer, and even amongst computer users, the keyboard is that one part of the computer, aside from the mouse, that you have physical contact with and where most of your input goes into. And as a keyboard, it's highly subjective on the feel, so everyone will have their own personal taste on what they expect from a keyboard. Some people are perfectly happy with the Logitech $10 keyboard that they can buy at Walmart. For someone who has had carpal tunnel syndrome and RSI in the wrist in the past, a good keyboard is a must. So without getting too technical between the difference between a mechanical keyboard and a dome keyboard, for me it comes right down to feels. The feels of a, let's say a cheap $10 keyboard is that it has like a plastic key switch to it, and it feels wobbly, and you have to put a little bit more pressure in order to actually make the keyboard do its thing. While a mechanical keyboard gives me a more sure feeling of typing into it, and ironically, I don't actually have to push as hard onto this key in order to get a signal sent to the computer. And there are a complete variety of different types of switches and different companies that make different switches for mechanical keyboards. So you'll hear things like red, blue, brown, and whatever. It generally gets down to feel and how they feel, where I'll just go over it quickly. On one end of the spectrum, you have something like a Cherry MX Blue, which generally has a very clicky keyboard. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have something like the Cherry MX Red, which has no clicks. It's just a very smooth, almost like an arcade button feeling. And then somewhere in between is this keyboard. It's the brown. It has a click, but it's not as loud, but you definitely feel it with your fingers. So number one, talking about the body itself, it is a little bit thick, and it's made out of a hard plastic, which has a pro and a con. The pro is that it's actually pretty light in order to carry it around because it is pretty compact. The con is that it doesn't feel as sturdy as if it was made with a metal body, but that's to be expected. You can actually buy the one with the aluminum keyboard for an added cost, but I don't think it's really worth it that much. It feels sturdy enough with the plastic. I guess if you want to be able to attack someone with it, you might want the metal one, but I'm a peace-loving guy. It comes with some removable keycaps that you can swap out the escape key, the light key, and some of the meta keys over here. I appreciated that because right off the bat, I moved the escape key back to the normal one and just gave the orange tint to the light button. Let's go over the things that I liked about this keyboard. This model that I have has the Gateron Browns, which is a good compromise between tactile feel and also quietness. It has that bump that I do like from a keyboard while keeping it fairly quiet. And there's definitely a whole bunch of cool things about this. Number one is that I can connect this through a wired USB-C cable that came with the keyboard into my computer, and don't have to really worry about battery or anything because it'll just charge and also act as a wired keyboard. There's also the ability to switch between Windows and Mac so that the Meta keyboards behave accordingly. As well as there are 3 Bluetooth devices you can connect to. So I have it connected to my laptop, my Windows, and whatever. And with my usage of this, I actually haven't had any issues with the Bluetooth. It paired pretty quickly and it stays connected and it's cool. This keyboard does come with backlight illumination, and while I find it useful, I usually keep it on the steady on. It comes with a whole bunch of different light patterns. I find that very distracting when it's on those light patterns, and kind of a security risk too, because if you're typing in passwords, some of them will will light up just the keys that you type. So probably not good to use in an office environment setting. The feel of the keycaps actually feels pretty decent for me. I haven't had much wear on the keycaps yet because it's only been a couple of months. Personally, the keycaps also feel a little bit like eggshells. The things that I didn't like on it were more personal quibbles. It's definitely on the thicker side, like I mentioned in a previous video. It has feet that you can raise the keyboard in order to get a better angle, which means that using this keyboard, you will probably need a wrist rest. And I kind of compromised. I just put like a scarf under there. It seemed to work. Not the prettiest, but it works. Incidentally, you can buy a walnut wrist rest from Keychron, so if you want it to complete the set. And the other complaint is very minor, and that's I'm not too smitten with this layout. I like the 10 key list layout better, but for portable usage, for example, if I had to go to the library to do something, or I don't know, a coffee shop and type out my manuscript, this would be perfectly fine. I know there's a lot of people that probably want to know about gaming with this. I haven't actually done any gaming with this. It's strictly a portable development keyboard. So let's talk about battery life and the battery itself. It is a built-in lithium-ion battery and it charges from the USB-C port. I can't really speak too much about the battery because it's only been about 2 months, and generally battery issues crop up in the 2 to 3 year range. Having said that, the battery has not disappointed me. I could use this for a couple of hours and it's perfectly fine. So where does this fit in the array of keyboards that I own? For me personally, this keyboard is a great portable keyboard to use with my portable device. I will still keep using my DAS Ultimate as my daily driver just because I'm used to the full keyboard layout, and as a programmer, I've built a lot of muscle memory searching for those symbols and all the special keys on there, and this a little bit slows me down until I put more time into it, but ultimately I just like the feel of the full keyboard or even a 10 keyless keyboard over this layout. Personally, this has been a great keyboard to supplement something like the MacBook Pro, where I absolutely despise that keyboard. This thing saves me from having to touch it, the other keyboard that is. And I have a Keychron K1 that's coming in the mail. It's pretty much the same as this, but it has a slightly different layout, more traditional, and it's a lot thinner. I'm going to take a look at that in an upcoming video and let you guys know how I feel about that. But for the meantime, if you don't mind the slight thickness increase and are happy with this type of layout, pick it up. It's a good keyboard. So for me, that's my experience with it, and I'm sticking to it. Take two.